So rumor has it that you guys love haul videos. Well, I've got one for you today, and it's a massive one. And I think this one actually, not a lot of new releases, as I'm keeping those as surprises for when I do the reviews. But this is a collection of fragrances that I bought that were older that I wanted to add to the collection of my fragrances. I'm trying to build a sort of a library of perfumes, so there's a lot of classic fragrances here, and this is their current formulation. So there's no vintages here, but I wanted to kind of catalog some of these fragrances that had launched a long time ago. And so today I've got a haul video for you, and as I said, not all of them are new. I mean, there are some new ones, but there's a lot of classic ones. So if you want to find out what these fragrances are in my haul video today, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, it's another haul video. This is not as massive as in expense as some of my other videos that I've done, haul videos, but it's pretty massive. There's a lot of fragrances here, a lot of classics, a lot of potential discontinuations that I'm buying backups of, and a lot of fragrances that I just wanted to add to my studio here, the collection of fragrances that I'm still trying to build up. And get this, pretty soon my furniture will be delivered, and within the next month or two this place will be all finished, and then after that I can do my tour video of my entire collection. But before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below, and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So let me know what you guys have been buying lately. What kind of fragrances are you digging up and finding? A lot of these are from discounters. All of them? Some of them? Most of them are. There are a few that I bought from places like Neiman Marcus because they had promotions recently. I took advantage. I'm going to do a quick announcement before I move forward with the fragrances. If you haven't gotten your Twisted Lily sample kit yet that I put together with Twisted Lily, please go ahead and take advantage of it. It does cost $25, but you can take 10% off with Perfume Guy 10. And it comes with a coupon for a future fragrance purchase that'll save you $25. So basically the sample kit is free, and that includes a box like this, and you'll receive it like that in an envelope, obviously. And then when you open it up, it comes with cards, a little note from me, and cards for the fragrances. And you can take notes down, and the fragrances are here like this. So there's 5 total samples, so it's $25. You do save 10% off. That is the Perfume Guy 10, and of course there's that coupon that comes with it, and any future fragrance purchase will be $25 off, so you do get to take advantage of that anyway. So there's still some available of these, and I'm trying to get everyone to check them out and go ahead and order them. And it's a great way for you to discover fragrances that you probably haven't yet. I know some of you that have been following me probably already know this collection of fragrances that I selected for this kit, but some of you that are new, it's a great way for you to discover new fragrances. So let's go ahead and get started now with the fragrances in my haul video. So I'm digging into the house of LANCOME. LANCOME is not a house that I do know a lot of their fragrances, but they do have the MAISON LANCOME fragrances that I kind of was excited about. Not kind of, I am excited about. And I have their fragrance Iris Draguet, which I really enjoy. It's a gourmand iris fragrance, really, really delicious fragrance. But I picked up a few fragrances from this collection because LANCOME website was having a discount. I think they were either 25% off or 30% off. So one of them that I bought was Oud Bouquet. This is one that I've been wanting to add to the collection, and I hadn't. But since that discount code was available on LANCOME, it was either 25% off or 30% off. I thought I'd take advantage of it. So Oud Bouquet is here. It's a rose and oud fragrance, very popular, but I think the previous version of this fragrance was a lot more popular than this particular fragrance. I think it's been, or this particular version of this fragrance, I think it's gone through a reformulation, but I'm not 100% sure. So this is, it has some gourmandish touches. It's very rosy, but it's also oudy. So this will be great to discuss in a future video, Oud Bouquet. I think I forgot the name of the perfumer, but he's a pretty well-known perfumer, and I think he does fragrances for Diptyque, and I'm drawing a blank with the name. The only thing I don't like about these fragrances is really cheap packaging. So even though they're, they're a higher end collection of fragrances, they don't come in a very, expensive packaging. The other one I picked up is JASMIN's Marzipan, this one right here. And I think if you have been following me, I mentioned recently in a video that I'm digging jasmine a lot lately. So this will satisfy. And Marzipan is an almond dessert. It's like an almond dessert from Europe. I think it's German. And of course, contrasted with the beautiful white florals of jasmine, I think this should be great. And I love gourmand fragrances. I love flowers contrasted with gourmand notes. So this definitely should be satisfactory for me. And I've heard great things about it. So let me know if you're fans of these two fragrances, Oud Bouquet and also JASMIN's Marzipan. If you are a fan, what do you like about them? And also, what other fragrances would you add from this collection? The thing is, I noticed that the USA LANCOME website seemed to be not representing all of the fragrances. I don't know if they're all discontinued. I mean, not all, but some of them are discontinued, or it's just they're not distributed here in the USA. I couldn't tell. But there are a few fragrances I was looking for. They were not on the website. Like my favorite, Iris Draguet, was not on the website, so maybe it's discontinued. So I picked up a few fragrances from YSL's Le Vestiaire collection. First one I'm going to talk about is Splendid Wood. Seems to be I'm kind of gravitating towards the smaller kind of gold-colored bottles. So Splendid Wood, I believe, was in a previous collection that was in the square bottles that the men's collection had fragrances in, similar bottles. So I think they've moved it over to this bottle collection. And this is a woody experience, Splendid Wood, so a fragrance that I've been wanting to pick up, and of course I've wanted to add to the collection. And even though they had that leather in the previous bottle collection that I really loved, I forgot the name now, it's stored away somewhere, it's discontinued. I would love them to bring that here in this collection as well, but thankfully I have the Splendid Wood. And then the other one in this Le Vestiaire collection I picked up is Supreme Bouquet. And Supreme Bouquet is another one that I've been wanting from this collection, and luckily I have it. A great, floral fragrance. And this, I think it's tuberose from what I'm smelling here, but I think there's a lot more of going on with this one. And this one was also in that previous collection in the square bottles, the clear bottles. I'm drawing a blank with the name of that collection, but it's moved here. So I'm wondering maybe they'll move that leather in this collection as well, although it's been a while since they moved those, and they haven't moved the leather, so we shall see. So let me know if you know Supreme Bouquet and Splendid Wood. Are you fans of this particular fragrances? And also, what are your other favorite Le Vestiaire collection fragrances? I'd like to find out. So one fragrance I ended up buying from a friend who was selling a bunch of fragrances is a Frederic Malle. And it's a tester. I ended up with a tester. And this is a previous formulation, non-Estee Lauder formulation of a fragrance from Frederic Malle. So this is one that I've wanted to add in my collection. It's Noir Épice. This is right here. So this one is the bottle, the label in the back does show that it's part of the non-Estee Lauder, according to some folks that I spoke to. But Noir Épices is a spicy fragrance, and it says it's created by Michel Rudnitska. It's Rudnitska's son who worked for Dior. I believe that's who that is. And I've been wanting to add this in, so it'll come to use. And again, this is a pre-Estee Lauder, and it's a tester, so hopefully it's going to be still fine. And then that leads to my haul of other fragrances. I have a ton of testers that I bought. One of them is this one from Cartier. I had bought the Cartier L'Envol fragrance when it first launched. I think Cartier went through a lawsuit. They lost out on a lawsuit. But initially, when the fragrance first came out, it was in this most amazing bottle. And I think there was another fragrance from an indie niche house prior to this that sued them, and they lost it. They lost the lawsuit, and so they had to redo their bottle. But I was actually looking for just the refill itself, but somehow I found the actual bottle. And this is a really cool bottle. I have a whole video about it on the channel. It comes with this really interesting dropping things. Really interesting looking bottle here, and it goes into this very, very fragile little container, and then it turns around like that. So it's a beautiful bottle. I think it's really great looking. Very futuristic, modern bottle. And so I'm glad to have this because my other one is almost empty and I kind of wanted a refill. I couldn't find a refill, but I found this. This is the tester, obviously, as you can see. And now I have this particular fragrance. This is L'Envol from Cartier, and it's all about honey with musk. And there's some woods in there. I think, even though it's targeted men, I think there's definitely unisex touches with this one. The other one that's a tester that I bought is from Gucci. And I have several Gucci's here. Gucci Mémoire d'une Odeur, the unisex fragrance that Gucci launched back in 2019. The one that's very minerally chamomile forward. This one. I can't find this fragrance anywhere. Is it discontinued? Because Nordstrom's doesn't have it, Sephora doesn't have it, Saks doesn't have it, Macy's didn't have it. They said they used to sell it, they don't. Neiman's doesn't have it. So I found some testers online and I bought a bottle because, you know, I do like this fragrance. It's different, and even though it's unisex targeted, I think it's pretty solid, but I think it has a lot of hate. A lot of people hate that one. Not sure why. A couple more Gucci fragrances. One of them is a tester, one is not. So Gucci's Bloom collection is a pretty solid collection of fragrances for women. So this is NETTARE de Fiori, Bloom NETTARE de Fiori, and this is Bloom Gocce de Fiori. So both of them are flankers of the original Bloom. And recently I've added the one with the green label, and that one was featured in a Galbanum fragrances video. And both of these are pretty solid. They're very tuberosy. This Gocce actually kind of has a little bit of a beachy vibe to it as well. But this one seems like a little more of a potent version of the original Bloom, but you know, there's lots of floral touches. And I think in addition to tuberose with these, I also pick up some jasmine, maybe a little sandalwood for woody touches. But both of them are great fragrances. I think Gucci did a good thing with these fragrances. They're pretty popular, created by Alberto Morillas, and I think both of them are pretty solid fragrances. One thing I wanted to also discuss is this one right here. It's been out of stock off of Mugler's website. Amen. It's Pure Havane, and I was not sure if they're gonna, you know, take it back or not. I know Pure Tonka is definitely off the website. Pure Havane is there, so most likely this is not discontinued, but I'm fearing it might be. So I did buy a backup bottle of it. It's not opened yet, obviously, as you can see. So there is that, and then the other one. Before I get to the other one. Mugler is under L'Oreal now, and this brand is also under L'Oreal. It's Prada, and I picked up a bottle, it's a tester bottle of Prada's L'Homme, the original, because mine was getting low, and this is a box, well, the tester box, but this is the bottle right here. And I don't know what's going to happen with Prada's men's collection, since it is under L'Oreal now. They might drop it or, you know, discontinue it, because they did discontinue. Oh, maybe it's not discontinued. Valentino's UOMO fragrances are completely different, but I think I'm still seeing them being sold in Europe. But they have Born in Roma here, and then that yellow thing, Yellow Dream or whatever, Yellow Fever. It's not Yellow Fever, Yellow Dream, which both of those were kind of disappointing releases. I don't know why they got rid of the UOMO Intense, and the Absolute, all great fragrances. We're left with Born in Roma, which is the suckiest fragrance ever. But I don't know if that's what's going to happen with Prada, but either way I have a backup of that now as well. Alright, so next, somebody was asking me if I would do a comparison of Diaghilev by Raja Parfums with Mitsuko from Guerlain. So I picked up a bottle, and even though I had sampled Mitsuko before, never really wore it, never owned a bottle, so I felt like it was appropriate to do that. And when I smell it, it does remind me of Diaghilev, but there are differences. I haven't smelled Diaghilev for a while, and this is me testing this out, and there are very much similarities between the two, so hopefully in the future I'll do a comparison of this one with a Diaghilev. But let me know if you're a fan of Mitsuko. This is the Eau de Parfum yeah, it's eau de parfum version of the fragrance. I don't know if there's an eau de toilette or a pure perfume version of this one, but I will be comparing the eau de parfum with the Diaghilev, which is also eau de parfum. Let me know if you're a fan of this one, and let me know if you want me to dig into Guerlain's classics as well, because there are some great fragrances, and I do like this one. It definitely reminds me of Diaghilev, so makes sense that people would request a comparison. But let me know if you're a fan of Mitsuko. I'd like to find out. So the next collection of fragrances I bought, before I get to the next collection of fragrances, this is another one that I recently purchased. A friend said, I missed out on this when it was selling, but I did find it online. Can you please order me 2 bottles? And so I decided to do it as well. I thought this would be a great collector's item. This is Chanel number 5. And this is the special limited edition in the red bottle. So I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to open it for the first time. But let me know if any of you have this particular fragrance in this red bottle. Chanel number 5. Let me know who's a fan of Chanel number 5. And if you're a man, do you wear it? Would you wear it? Here's the red bottle. It's a beautiful bottle. But this is not the pure perfume. This is the eau de parfum. I know there's a pure perfume version in the red bottle as well. Definitely very Chanel number 5. I actually like it. It's nice. It reminds me of grandmother, but still, that's nice. It smells a little different. Is it me, or do you guys know if they did a redo on this one in comparison to the original Chanel number 5? Let me know. But I bought 2. Just because I'll have this one as a backup, and this one will be just displayed here in the studio for when people come in and do a tour here. I'll show it to them. All right, so the next fragrances I bought because I recently watched the Halston mini-series on Netflix, and I've had Halston fragrances in the past. I've also remember as a kid, pre-teenager, my dad and uncle both wore Halston Z14. Now I've had Halston Z14 in my collection since before I started doing videos on the channel, like the early 2010s. I only bought it because there was a fragrance from Tom Ford called Italian Cypress that reminded me of Halston Z14. That fragrance is no longer. Halston Z14 is still around, and the one I have smells pretty darn good. Not great, but pretty darn good. But I ended up buying a bunch of different Halston fragrances, including the initial launch of the Halston Feminine fragrance that I found a tester on FragranceNet. I buy a lot from FragranceNet when I'm buying because what I do is I go to Google and search for the fragrance, and they'll bring up a bunch of different displays of different places that are selling it. I'll go through them, but it'll display the prices, and so I just click on whichever is the lowest, and if I recognize the store, I'll go there and buy it. But this is, you know, I read a lot about it before I bought this, and I just wanted to buy it because it was like $12 for this. It's a 90 ml, I believe, or 100. And even though the reviews were like really negative because it doesn't smell like the original, my mom wore the original early in like 1980, 79, times like that. And even though people were complaining that it's completely bad, like it doesn't smell at all like this, what it used to, and I remember what it used to smell like, but it's not as bad. It doesn't smell like the original, but it's not that bad, you know. It does remind you of the original fragrance. So that's the original Halston for women fragrance. For men, I've had the Z14 as I said, but I also bought the 112. Sadly, the 112 smells pretty bad. I don't know why, but it's really badly, not very good. That's sad. Now, I bought my Z14 towards the end of the 2000s, early 2010. So I wonder if that formulation for that fragrance is even now, when you buy it currently, it will smell bad. But the 114 or the 112 does not smell as great as the Z14 that I have. So anyway, I have that. Now this is one that I never bought, but I know it was pretty popular in the community as a Halston fragrance. It was popular in the early 2010s when I was just getting into reviewing fragrances. This is Halston Man Amber. So I found this on eBay. I first looked at, you know, FragranceNet, FragranceX. They didn't have them. They were out of stock. But there was one on eBay, a 2.4 5 fluid ounce, which is a 75 ml, I believe, or 70. I can't really see. But, you know, I actually got this one and I tested it out and I was like, wow, that actually smells pretty darn good. It's a small bottle, but as a smell, I think it's a great amber. I don't know who manufactured this particular fragrance. Most likely it's not Revlon, because this is under Revlon for sure. Definitely it is. And most likely this is under Revlon as well. This actually is reformulated to the worse. And this one is reformulated to the worst, but it doesn't smell that bad. The 112 does not smell great at all. But this one's pretty darn good. And even this is like satin kind of... what do you call it? Very smooth fabric on top of the cardboard where this is kept. So kind of a little more expensive than your, you know, basic cheap box that this one comes in. Right there. It's not, it's kind of loose in here. So I don't know. Let me know if you guys are fans of Halston's fragrances. Did you wear them in the old days? Did you never wear them? Have you checked them out recently? So going back to the fragrance net purchase, I did order Halston Women Amber as well. Once again, it has kind of like the coating on top of the box for the women's amber, and it's, you know, like similar to the other women's bottle. And this one actually smells great too. So these probably are still under a different corporation. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was, but I know it's changed over many different hands, I believe, the Halston brand, but I did like this one. And then finally, this is Halston Women, I think this is silver, right here. And this is a smaller bottle, and this one seems to be pretty darn nicely done as well. It's a coated cardboard. And this is a tiny little bottle right here. So glad to have these ones. I think Halston fragrances were amazing. I remember them being really amazing in the late 70s, early 80s. Amazing fragrances. So I'm glad to have them. And even though I might not wear a lot of these, they were not that expensive. And they'll be great to display here in the studio for when I have a client come in that wants to smell fragrances, and I can bring out some of the classics. And so speaking of classics from FragranceNet, this one. Anybody remember Paloma Picasso's Minotaure? For nostalgia reasons, I got this, and I think this was about $20, $25. Smells watered down, completely watered down. But I wore this in the early 90s, and I was obsessed with the way this smelled. Now it's like such a distant relative of the original, a total distant relative. But I love this bottle. I love the gradients on it, the whole name. A great scent it was. One of my favorite fragrances. Early on, I wore lots of it. And my mom wore the original Paloma Picasso for women. But I was obsessed with the way this one smells, but sadly now it doesn't smell as good. That's too bad. Now this next one is one that I've been wanting to add to the collection for some time now. Finally I said, you know what, I'm going to start getting more 80s and 90s fragrances so I can build a great collection. If I want a client to come in here and say, I want to smell some 80s fragrances, you know, I can pull a bunch of 80s fragrances for them to smell. And this is definitely one that, while I was just like, I had just ordered it, and somebody on Facebook messaged me and said, you got to get this one. I'm like, boy, are you reading my mind? Because I just ordered it. So let's see. I've heard that it still smells great, but I don't know if it does. I think it's a Chypre style for men, and I remember the bottle being amazing. I love this bottle. I like the whole frosted looking bottle. And let's spray some and see. Let me know if anyone's a fan of this one. Wow, it still smells pretty good. I mean, it smells watered down, but it doesn't smell bad. Like sometimes reformulations go bad. This is pretty good. It's very green, herbal, bitter, and I like it. I'll have to put it to use. That's Dunhill London edition, not Dunhill's London. This is another one. This is another one I was obsessed with for the longest time. When I was very, very young, I worked at a dry cleaner, and a lot of businessmen used to bring their clothing, and I would smell this fragrance on it. It was just like, what the heck? Look, this is Boss number 1. This was such a great fragrance. It's very, very classy. It's masculine. Also, it smells 80s. Like 80s smell is amazing. But I think, let me spray it on a finger. I don't think it smells as good. I'm sure it's reformulated. Oh, it does remind me of the original for sure. But it's definitely a distant relative of what it used to be, because the first one just lasted. I mean, not the first one, but the initial launch of the fragrance just lasted and lasted and lasted a long time, because clothing would come in and everything would be drenched with it like that. So this was good to have. Many, many memories with this one. I even wore it. My dad even wore it. And I'm glad to have it. It just brings back lots of memories. Alright, this next one, I recently told you guys that when I was doing my video for inexpensive summer fragrances, I found this at FragranceNet. So when I was buying all of this stuff, I just added it to my cart because it was like almost $60 for this. And it's sold as suggested retail for about $140. This is Hermès Eau d'Orange Vert Concentré. It's such a great fragrance. See, it's a tester. It was there for that price. It's a perfect summer fragrance. It's green and bitter and woody and lots of orangey. So I'm really, really glad for that one. This next one I haven't worn in ages. This is another classic fragrance. This is Laura Biagiotti Roma UOMO. Any fans of this one? Let me know. Another one, I think this one came out in the 90s or late 80s, early 90s, I believe. It's been so long since I've smelled this one. Let's smell this one. Let's spray it here. I've read that it doesn't smell as good. Although, it's not bad. I'm going to have to put it to use. But any fans of this one, UOMO from Laura Biagiotti? Let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. So this one I'm not going to open. I'm not going to open it because I've already spoken about it, and this is just as a backup. I'm surprised that there's bottles left. It's Mandarina Duck's Black Extreme. Amazing fragrance. That reminds me of Uden from Xerjoff. So FragranceNet had it, and I know that it was gone for a long time. Now it's back, so this is a backup bottle because I already have a backup bottle, but now this is a second backup bottle. Now this one is going to be kind of exciting because I wore it in the mid-90s. I think it was around 96 when I wore it. Then I stopped wearing it towards the end of the 90s. Then I was wearing it at the end of the 2000s. I had bought a bottle at a clearance somewhere in a, not a grocery store, but like a department store, early 2010s, late 2000s. And it did smell a little different, but it was still pretty potent. But now, I don't know how it smells like the original, but this is Chrome by Azzaro. Let's see. Another metallic fragrance, but a favorite of mine for summer. This is it right here. Let's spray the cardboard to see what it smells like. I know it's got to have been watered down for sure. Let's see. It still reminds me of its metallic smell, very aromatic and spicy. It doesn't smell watered down, but I gotta wear it. But I think the smell is pretty kept, like it's very similar to the original. So that makes it pretty good, right? Don't you think? Who's a fan of Chrome Azzaro? Let me know. So, a backup bottle of Reminiscence Patchouli, because I gave mine to my mom. This is mine, so it's not really a backup bottle. Black Orchid from Tom Ford. I was running low. I found it at the discounters and I picked up a bottle. It's right there. A lot of you know about Black Orchid, right? Who's a fan of Black Orchid? Who's a fan of the Reminiscence Patchouli? Now this one, something that I wanted to do because I'm kind of digging coconut in fragrances, and I know this is a coconutty fragrance, so this is Bronze Goddess. Who's a fan of this one? Let me know. I smelled this in passing once before, but it came unsealed, sadly, so I don't know what's wrong with that, but that's Bronze Goddess. Who's a fan of Bronze Goddess? Let me know. And do you like coconutty fragrances? Ooh, kind of warm and ambery. Where's the coconuts? Hopefully it's in there. Shoot. I like it. I like the smell. It's nice and warm. Definitely ambery and vanillic and spicy. So that's that. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is this one. Mine was kind of getting low. another tester for Encre Noire. Anyway, that is the haul. Let me know what you'd like to have me review first. I know there's a lot of fragrances here. Not every one of these is very expensive, so they're cheapies and things like that. But let me know which one you want me to review first. Which fragrances are you fans of? And which you hate. Let me know also about the Halston fragrances. I think I'm going to do a separate video on the Halston fragrances. Stay tuned for that very soon. I'll go into a little more of a detail for each of those fragrances. Let me know what else you want me to review. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today to watch this haul video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video, please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.